comeback starts before you're ready. You feel it, don't you? That quiet whisper inside you that says, wait a little longer, get more money first, lose 5 more pounds, read 10 more books, wait until January, wait until Monday, wait until you feel brave. That voice sounds helpful, but it is actually the biggest liar you have ever met. It promises safety but delivers nothing but lost time and forgotten dreams. Every single person who ever made a real comeback heard that same voice. The difference is that they decided to move while still shaking. They understood a secret that most people never learn. That secret is the title of this book. The comeback starts before you are ready. This book is not written for perfect people with perfect plans. It is written for the tired, the scared, the embarrassed, and the ones who have failed so many times they lost count. You will not find complicated strategies or hard English words that make you feel small. Instead, you will find small, wild, and honest actions that work even when your confidence is at zero. Each chapter will grab you by the hand and pull you forward one messy step at a time. By the time you finish, you will stop waiting for some magical ready day that never comes. You will start moving, stumbling, laughing, and rising before your brain can talk you out of it. So take a breath. You are already late to your own comeback. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Day You Stop Waiting. Ready is a ghost that everyone chases but nobody catches. Think about the last time you felt completely ready for something hard. That moment probably never came because readiness is not a real feeling. It is just another name for fear dressed up in fancy clothes. Your brain wants you to feel safe, so it keeps moving the finish line. First, you need more information, then more money, then more confidence that never arrives. This is how people stay stuck for 5 years, 10 years, or their whole lives. The cruel joke is that you already have everything you need to take one small step right now. Successful people are not braver than you. They are just more willing to look foolish while they figure things out. Watch a baby learning to walk for 5 minutes. That baby falls, cries, laughs, and stands up again without any plan at all. Nobody taught that baby to wait until its legs felt ready. Nobody said, study walking for 6 more months before you try. That baby just moves because moving is the only way to learn. You were that baby once, and you can be that baby again today. The only difference is that you now have a loud inner critic that the baby does not have. Tell that critic to take a coffee break. Stopping the waiting game requires one tiny action that breaks the spell. That action does not have to be big, impressive, or even smart. It just has to be real, and it has to happen in the next 5 minutes. Send that awkward email. Write that terrible first sentence. Make that scary phone call while your hands sweat. Clean one corner of your messy room to prove you can still move. The content of the action does not matter nearly as much as the act of acting itself. Every small movement sends a message to your brain that you are the kind of person who does things. Your brain will fight back with excuses, but you will fight back with proof. Proof always wins against excuses in the end. Here is a strange truth that will change everything for you. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Most people believe they need to feel motivated before they can act, but that belief is backwards. Motivation is actually a reward that shows up after you start moving. Think of a heavy old car that needs to be pushed. The first push is the hardest, but once the wheels turn, the car gets easier to move. Your energy works the exact same way. The first sentence of a letter is painful, but the second sentence comes easier. The first step out of bed feels heavy, but the third step feels lighter. So stop waiting for a feeling that only comes from doing. You have permission to be awful at your comeback in the beginning. In fact, being awful is actually a great sign, because it means you have finally started. A terrible start beats a perfect plan that never leaves your head every single time. The world is filled with brilliant people who have gorgeous ideas trapped inside their skulls. Those ideas are worth nothing because they never touch the real world. Your messy, shaky, ugly first try is worth everything because it exists. You can fix something that exists, but you cannot fix something that stays invisible. So make your first try ugly and proud. Today is the day you stop waiting for a green light that will never flash. Write down one thing you have been waiting to do, and then do the smallest possible version of it right now. Call a friend and tell them your plan before your courage disappears. Burn the idea of someday and replace it with the word today. Your comeback does not need a fancy announcement or a cheering crowd. It only needs you to take one step while still feeling scared, confused, and underqualified. That step is the door. Walk through it before you talk yourself out of it one more time. The door is open, and your future self is already on the other side waiting. Chapter 2. The Quiet Power of Starting Small. Big goals feel exciting, but they also freeze most people solid. When you look at a mountain, your brain screams that the climb is impossible. That scream is not wrong about the difficulty, but it is wrong about the path. Nobody climbs a mountain by staring at the top and jumping. They climb by finding one tiny foothold, then another, then another. Your comeback works the exact same way, but your ego wants big dramatic changes instead. Big dramatic changes rarely last because they burn too much energy too fast. Small changes feel boring, but boring is actually your secret weapon. Boring actions are easy to repeat, and repetition is what changes lives. Think about the smallest action you can take toward your goal. Not the smallest impressive action, but the truly smallest laughable action. Want to write a book? Write one terrible sentence today. Want to get fit? Put on your shoes and stand outside for 60 seconds. Want to start a business? Send one message to one person asking one simple question. These actions look stupid on paper, but they are genius in real life because they defeat your resistance. Resistance is that heavy feeling that stops you from starting anything hard. Small actions are so tiny that resistance forgets to show up. By the time resistance realizes what you are doing, you have already begun. The magic of small starts is that they create momentum without demanding courage. You do not need to feel brave to write one sentence or to stand outside for 1 minute. Those actions are so easy that your brain does not bother fighting them. Once you take that first tiny step, the second step feels slightly more natural. The third step feels almost normal, and the fourth step starts to feel good. This is how habits are born, not through willpower but through tricking your own brain. You become a person who writes, moves, or builds without ever feeling ready to do so. The small start is a doorway that your fear cannot lock. Here is a challenge that will change your week. Pick one area of your life where you feel stuck and ask yourself what a 5% effort looks like. Not 50%, not 100%, but just 5%. That might mean reading one page instead of one chapter. It might mean walking for 3 minutes instead of 30. It might mean cleaning one dish instead of the whole kitchen. 5% is embarrassingly small, and that is exactly why it works. You can always find energy for 5% even on your worst day. 5% done is infinitely better than 0% planned. Stack enough 5% days together, and you will look back shocked at how far you traveled. Do not compare your small start to someone else's big finish. That comparison is a trap that kills more comebacks than failure ever could. The person you admire on social media did not begin where they are now. They began with small, ugly, unshareable steps that nobody saw. They wrote bad drafts, made cold calls that went nowhere, and practiced in empty rooms for months. You are seeing their highlight reel, not their blooper reel. Your job is not to match their highlight reel today. Your job is to match their blooper reel from 5 years ago. Keep your eyes on your own small path and let others run their own race. Starting small does not mean staying small forever. It means respecting the process of growth just like nature does. A seed does not become a tree in one afternoon. It pushes one tiny root, then another, then breaks the soil with a small green shoot. That shoot looks weak and laughable compared to the full tree it will become. But that shoot is the only way the tree will ever exist. Your small start today is your green shoot breaking through hard ground. Water it daily with tiny actions, and it will grow stronger than you can imagine. Your comeback is already happening with each small step you take right now. Chapter 3. Forgive the person you were yesterday. Regret is a heavy backpack that most people carry everywhere they go. You made mistakes last week, last year, or a decade ago that still make you cringe. You said things you should not have said, or you stayed silent when you should have spoken. You wasted time, money, or chances that will never come back exactly the same way. That person who made those mistakes feels like a stranger now, but you still punish yourself daily. Carrying that shame does not fix anything, but it does drain all your energy. You cannot run a comeback race while dragging a backpack full of broken glass. Forgiveness is not about excusing what happened, but about setting the backpack down. Here is a hard truth that will set you free. The person who made those mistakes no longer exists. Every cell in your body has changed. Your brain has grown new connections, and you have learned lessons that old you did not have. Judging your past self with your current knowledge is like being angry at a child for not knowing algebra. That child did the best they could with what they had at the time. Your past self also did the best they could with what they had then. That does not mean the mistakes were good, but it does mean they are done. You cannot reach back in time and change a single second. What you can change is what you do with the next second. Forgiveness starts with a simple sentence that feels strange at first. Look at yourself in a mirror and say out loud, "I forgive you for not knowing better back then." Say it even if you do not believe it, because feelings follow actions more than actions follow feelings. Your throat might close up, or your eyes might water, or you might want to laugh nervously. All of those reactions are signs that something important is happening inside you. Keep saying the sentence once every morning for 1 full week. By day 7, the words will feel less like a lie and more like a key. That key opens the door to your own energy that regret has been stealing. You do not need to forget what happened in order to forgive it. Forgetting is not the goal because your mistakes carry valuable lessons. The goal is to stop using your past as a weapon against your present self. Write down 3 specific mistakes you keep replaying in your head. Next to each mistake, write one lesson that mistake taught you. That lesson is the only useful part of the whole painful memory. The shame, the guilt, and the embarrassment can be thrown away like old garbage. Keep the lesson, thank the mistake for teaching you, and let the rest go. This is not denial, but the smartest form of learning. Many people refuse to forgive themselves because they think it means letting themselves off the hook. They believe that guilt is the only thing keeping them from repeating old patterns. But guilt is a terrible long-term motivator because it eventually turns into numbness. The most successful people are not the ones who hate themselves the most. They are the ones who mess up, learn fast, forgive fast, and move faster. Self-forgiveness actually makes you more responsible because you stop wasting energy on hiding. You can look at your flaws honestly without crumbling into shame. That honesty allows you to build real change instead of pretending to be perfect. Today, you're going to write a short letter from your present self to your past self. Keep the letter to 5 sentences or less so it feels possible to finish. Thank your past self for surviving hard things and for trying even when trying was scary. Tell your past self that you are taking over from here and that they can rest now. Then fold the letter, put it somewhere safe, and promise yourself you will not reopen old wounds. Every time your mind tries to drag you back into guilt, gently remind yourself that the letter exists. Your comeback needs your full energy today, not your energy split with ghosts from yesterday. Forgive the person you were, and watch how fast the person you are becomes someone new. Chapter 4: The 1% Rule. Big changes fail because they demand too much too fast from normal humans. Going from 0 exercise to 1 hour at the gym is a recipe for quitting by Friday. Trying to write 20 pages a day when you have not written in years will crush your spirit instantly. Your brain sees these huge jumps as threats, so it fights back with exhaustion and excuses. The smarter path is a rule that sounds almost too simple to work. It is called the 1% Rule, and it has built millions of successful comebacks. The idea is to get just 1% better today than you were yesterday. That is so small that your brain barely notices, but over time it becomes unstoppable. Imagine improving by 1% every day for 1 full year. That tiny daily gain adds up to being 37 times better by the end of the year. 37 times better without any heroic effort or painful struggle. You do not need to believe me because math does not care about your doubts. The same math works in reverse if you get 1% worse every day. After 1 year, you would be nearly at zero without noticing the slide. Small changes either build you up or tear you down based on direction. The key is to aim for the tiniest possible improvement in the right direction. Finding your 1% requires asking a simple question each morning. What is one small thing I can do today that my future self will thank me for? That thing might be drinking 1 glass of water before coffee. It might be reading 2 pages of a helpful book instead of scrolling your phone. It might be sending 1 follow-up email that you have been avoiding for 3 weeks. Notice that none of these actions feel impressive or heroic at all. That is the whole point, because impressive actions are hard to repeat every single day. You are not looking for a sprint, but for a slow walk that never stops. A slow walk that continues will always beat a fast sprint that quits. The 1% rule also applies to how you treat yourself after a bad day. Bad days will happen because you are human and life is messy. On those days, your goal is not to improve by 1% but to decline by only 1%. Instead of skipping your whole workout, you do 2 minutes of stretching instead of 0. Instead of eating an entire pizza, you eat 2 slices and call it a small setback. Instead of ignoring all your work, you answer 1 email to keep the chain alive. This is called lowering the bar so you can still step over it. A tiny effort on a terrible day keeps your comeback alive. Tomorrow, you can return to your normal 1% again. You might worry that 1% is too slow for your big dreams. That worry is natural because humans want results now, not in a year. But here is the secret that fast results seekers never learn. The 1% rule creates a compound effect that feels slow, then suddenly explodes. Think of ice melting on a warm day. Nothing seems to happen for a long time, then suddenly the ice breaks apart. Your growth will feel invisible for weeks or even months before it becomes obvious. The people who quit during the invisible phase never see the explosion. The people who trust the 1% rule eventually shock everyone, including themselves. Start tracking your 1% wins in a simple notebook or phone note. Write down 1 small win each night before you go to sleep. That win could be as tiny as choosing stairs over elevator for 1 flight. It could be writing 1 sentence that you did not have yesterday. It could be saying no to 1 distraction that usually steals your time. Over 1 week, you will have 7 small wins that feel okay. Over 1 month, you will have 30 small wins that start to feel significant. Over 3 months, you will look back and barely recognize the person who started. That person was waiting for a big change, but you chose the quiet power of 1%. That choice will be the best decision you ever made. Chapter 5. Use your fear as fuel, not a brake. Fear gets a terrible reputation as the enemy of all progress. Movies and books tell you to conquer fear, destroy fear, or become fearless like a superhero. But fearless people do not actually exist because fear is built into every human brain. The difference between stuck people and comeback people is not how much fear they feel. The difference is what they do with that fear once it shows up. Most people treat fear like a stop sign that means turn around and go home. Comeback people treat fear like a fuel gauge that shows where the action is. The things that scare you the most are usually the things you most need to do. Here is a strange experiment to try this week. Make a list of 3 things that make your stomach drop when you think about them. Asking for a raise, ending a bad relationship, or starting a difficult conversation all count. Next to each fear, write down what is on the other side of that fear. More money, more peace, or a cleaner relationship are waiting for you. Fear is not a wall, but a tunnel that you have to walk through. The tunnel feels dark and scary, but it is not infinitely long. On the other side of every fear tunnel is something better than what you have now. Fear is just the price of admission to that better thing. Your body feels fear exactly the same way it feels excitement. Sweaty palms, fast heartbeat, shallow breathing, and butterflies in your stomach. The physical sensations are identical, but your brain labels one as bad and one as good. This means you can actually relabel fear as excitement by changing your inner words. When you feel nervous before a big moment, say out loud, "I am excited," instead of "I am scared." Your brain will believe whatever words you feed it most often. This sounds like a silly trick, but athletes and performers use it every single day. They know that the body does not know the difference, so they choose the helpful label. Fear also provides valuable information about what matters to you. You never feel afraid of things that mean nothing to your heart. Walking past a random stranger does not scare you because you do not care about their opinion. But speaking in front of your coworkers terrifies you because their opinion matters to you. That fear is actually a compass pointing toward your values. You fear looking foolish because you value being respected. You fear failing because you value success. Instead of running from that fear, thank it for showing you what you truly care about. Then take one small step toward that cared about thing while the fear is still there. Many people wait for fear to disappear before they act, but that wait never ends. Fear does not vanish from thinking about it or reading about it or preparing for it. Fear only shrinks when you walk directly into it and prove you can survive. Every time you do something scary and nothing terrible happens, your brain updates its files. The first scary call feels awful, but the 10th scary call feels like a normal Tuesday. The first time you share your art feels terrifying, but the 20th time feels almost boring. Fear is a fire that dies when you starve it of avoidance and feed it action. Your job is not to feel brave, but to act brave until acting brave becomes natural. Set a small fear challenge for yourself for the next 7 days. Each day, do one small thing that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Speak to a stranger, post something honest online, or wear something bold that you usually hide. The action does not need to change your life, only to stretch your comfort zone 1 inch. At the end of the 7 days, notice how many things you survived. Notice how the things that scared you on day 1 feel easier by day 7. Fear is a muscle that grows stronger when you avoid it and weaker when you face it. You are now training your fear muscle to be weak, so your courage muscle can be strong. Use your fear as fuel and watch how fast your comeback accelerates. Chapter 6. Burn the perfect plan. Perfectionism is not a desire to do good work, but a fear of doing bad work. It wears a mask that looks like high standards, but underneath it is pure terror. The perfectionist inside your head whispers that anything less than flawless is worthless. That whisper stops you from starting because you cannot guarantee a flawless result. It stops you from finishing because the middle parts are always messy. It stops you from sharing because someone might see a tiny crack in your work. Perfectionism has never helped anyone finish a comeback, but it has stopped millions. The most successful comeback stories are filled with ugly, messy, imperfect action. Think about the last time you saw someone else make a mistake. Did you hate them forever or did you barely notice? Most people are too busy worrying about their own mistakes to obsess over yours. Your imperfections are huge in your own head, but tiny in everyone else's view. The audience does not demand perfection, but they do demand authenticity and honesty. A raw, imperfect video from your heart will move people more than a polished lie. A shaky first business attempt with real passion will attract more customers than a fake perfect plan. Burning the perfect plan means accepting that good enough today beats perfect never. Here is a powerful exercise called the messy first draft. Pick something you have been avoiding because you want it to be great. Write the worst possible version of that thing on purpose. Write an email full of typos, a business plan that makes no sense, or a song that sounds silly. The goal is not to produce garbage, but to break the spell of perfection. Once you have written the terrible version, you have something to improve. You cannot improve a blank page, but you can improve a bad page. Perfectionists stay stuck on blank pages while messy people finish things. Finished things can be fixed, but blank pages are just empty graves of good intentions. Your brain will scream that people will judge you for putting out imperfect work. That scream is loud, but it is based on a false memory of past shame. Most people are too focused on their own lives to analyze your work deeply. The ones who do judge you harshly are usually hiding their own fear of trying. Happy, busy people do not spend time tearing down others' imperfect efforts. Unhappy, stuck people do that because it makes them feel better about not trying. Do you really want to plan your life around the opinions of unhappy, stuck people? Burn that plan and make something imperfect today. Deadlines kill perfectionism better than any motivational speech ever could. A real deadline forces you to ship your work whether it is ready or not. That shipping process teaches you that the world did not end because your work had flaws. You learn that done is a beautiful word, even when done is not perfect. Set a fake deadline for yourself this week if you do not have a real one. Tell a friend you will show them something by Friday at 5 p.m. That social pressure will override your perfectionist brain's need for endless tweaking. Friday will arrive, you will share your imperfect thing, and you will still be alive. That feeling of finishing is worth more than 1,000 perfect unfinished drafts. The final step in burning the perfect plan is changing your inner scorecard. Stop measuring yourself by how flawless your work looks to others. Start measuring yourself by how many imperfect things you finished this month. Give yourself points for showing up, for trying, for sharing, and for surviving. A month with 10 finished imperfect projects is a victory. A month with 0 finished perfect projects is a loss, no matter how high the quality. Your comeback does not need a masterpiece, it just needs momentum. Perfect is the enemy of done, and done is the friend of progress. Burn the perfect plan today and watch how free you feel tomorrow. Chapter 7. The Comeback Mindset Shift. One question separates people who stay down from people who get back up. When something bad happens, your brain automatically asks one of two questions. The first question is, why did this happen to me? That question leads to blame, shame, and feeling like a victim. The second question is, what can I learn from this? That question leads to growth, strength, and a path forward. The event that happened is exactly the same, but the question changes everything. Your comeback does not depend on what happened to you. Your comeback depends entirely on which question you ask next. This is not positive thinking fluff, but a practical tool you can use today. Making this mindset shift requires catching yourself in the middle of a complaint. The next time you feel sorry for yourself, pause and notice what your brain is doing. Your brain is building a case for why you cannot move forward right now. That case might be very true, but being true does not make it useful. Ask yourself if this complaint is helping you or hurting you right now. A helpful complaint leads to a solution, but most complaints just lead to more complaining. If the complaint is not helping, drop it immediately like a hot rock. You can pick it back up later if you want, but try dropping it first. Your past does not predict your future unless you let it. Many people believe that because they failed before, they will fail again. That belief feels like a fact, but it is actually just a story you keep telling yourself. The story feels true because you have repeated it thousands of times in your head. But stories can be rewritten, and you are the author of your own life. The only evidence you need that things can change is that they have changed before. You are not always the person you are today, and you will not always be this person. Your future self is waiting for you to stop using the past as an anchor. Here is a powerful phrase to say when your mind goes dark. This is happening and I can handle it. Notice that this phrase does not say the situation is good or fair. It does not pretend that nothing bad is happening or that you are happy about it. It simply accepts reality and reminds you of your own strength at the same time. You have handled every single bad day that has come to you so far. You are still here, still breathing, and still able to try again tomorrow. That track record of survival is your proof that you can handle this too. Repeat this phrase like a broken record until your brain believes it. The comeback mindset also means celebrating small wins without waiting for big ones. Your brain is wired to notice problems more than progress for survival reasons. That wiring kept your ancestors alive from tigers, but it kills your motivation today. You have to manually train your brain to see the good things you are doing. At the end of each day, find 3 small wins no matter how tiny they seem. You got out of bed, you made one call, you ate one healthy meal, you tried. Write these wins down where you can see them and read them back often. Your brain will slowly rewire to notice progress instead of only problems. You are not your thoughts and you are not your feelings. Thoughts float through your head like clouds and feelings come and go like weather. Some thoughts are true, but many thoughts are just old recordings playing on repeat. Just because you think you cannot do something does not make it a fact. Just because you feel like quitting does not mean you have to quit. You can watch a scary thought pass by without grabbing onto it and believing it. This skill is called detachment, and it is like a superpower for comebacks. Practice watching your negative thoughts like a curious scientist instead of a scared victim. That small shift in perspective will change everything about how you rise. Chapter 8. Find your unlikely cheerleader. Nobody makes a real comeback completely alone, no matter what movies show. The lone hero who fights everything by themselves is a fantasy that hurts real people. You need someone who knows you are struggling and still believes in you anyway. That person does not need to be a professional coach or a famous mentor. They do not need to have all the answers or be perfect themselves. They just need to be someone who says, "You can do this," when you have forgotten. Finding this person might feel scary because it requires being honest about your struggle. But honesty is the price of admission to real support. Your unlikely cheerleader might not be who you expect at first. It could be the quiet coworker who always listens without judging you. It could be your younger cousin who looks up to you more than you realize. It could be the barista who remembers your order and asks how your week is going. It could even be a stranger in an online group who shares the same struggles as you. The point is to stop waiting for a perfect cheerleader who does not exist. Open your eyes to the people already around you who show small signs of care. Those small signs are seeds that can grow into real support if you water them. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of wisdom and courage. Stubborn people who refuse help often stay stuck for years or decades. Smart people know that borrowing strength from others speeds up their own comeback. You do not need to make a dramatic speech or admit every dark secret. Start with a simple sentence like, "I am trying to change something and I could use some encouragement." Most people feel honored when you ask for their support, not burdened by it. Being asked to help someone makes the helper feel valuable and important too. You are actually giving them a gift by letting them support you. Sometimes your best cheerleader is not a person but a place or a thing. A certain coffee shop where you always feel calm can be your comeback headquarters. A specific playlist of songs that make you feel strong can be your audio cheerleader. A notebook where you write your wins can be a cheerleader that never talks back. A photo of yourself from a proud moment can remind you of who you really are. These non-human cheerleaders are always available, even at 3 and when friends are sleeping. Build a collection of these supports so you are never completely alone in your fight. Your comeback needs backup, and backup comes in many different forms. If you truly cannot find a single cheerleader right now, become your own. Look in the mirror and speak to yourself like you would speak to a dear friend. Would you call your best friend a failure for trying and stumbling? Would you tell your sister to give up because her first attempt was messy? Of course not, so stop saying those cruel things to yourself. You have survived every single hard day of your entire life without exception. That is an undefeated record of survival that deserves respect and celebration. Be the cheerleader you needed when you were younger and more lost. Your own voice is the most powerful cheerleader you will ever have. Once you find your cheerleader, make it easy for them to support you. Tell them exactly what helps you instead of hoping they will guess. Say, "It helps me when you text me a funny meme on hard days." Say, "It helps me when you just listen without trying to fix my problems." Clear instructions turn a well-meaning person into a truly helpful cheerleader. Also, remember to cheer for your cheerleader when they need support too. The strongest support systems are two-way streets where everyone gives and receives. Your comeback will lift others, and their support will lift you higher in return. Find your unlikely cheerleader this week and watch your comeback gain wings. Chapter 9. The art of the awkward first step. Every comeback begins with a step that feels clumsy, weird, and deeply uncomfortable. That first step might be sending a message that your hands shake while typing. It might be walking into a room where you know nobody and feel like an outsider. It might be saying words out loud that sound silly once they leave your mouth. The awkwardness is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. The awkwardness is actually a sign that you are doing something right. Your comfort zone is a small cage, and leaving that cage always feels strange at first. Embrace the awkwardness like an old friend who shows up to every first party. Most people try to skip the awkward phase by preparing more, but preparation backfires. More preparation means more time to imagine all the terrible things that could happen. More time to let your fear build bigger and scarier stories in your head. The truth is that the first step will be awkward no matter how much you prepare. You cannot practice away the weirdness of doing something new for the first time. So you might as well do it quickly and get the awkwardness over with. Think of the awkward first step like ripping off a bandage. The pain is quick, but the relief after is worth every second of discomfort. Here is a secret that changes the whole game of awkwardness. Most people are so worried about their own awkwardness that they do not notice yours. Everyone is the star of their own movie, and your awkward moment is just background noise. That strange thing you said 3 days ago that keeps you awake at night. Nobody else remembers it at all. Your brain plays your awkward moments on repeat, but the world has already moved on. This is liberating because it means you can be as awkward as you need to be. Nobody is keeping score except you, and you can choose to stop keeping score today. The art of the awkward first step includes learning to laugh at yourself. When you stumble over your words, make a joke about it instead of freezing in shame. When you trip walking into a room, bow like you meant to do it as a performance. When you send a typo in an important email, send a second one that says, "Ignore my clumsy fingers." Self-deprecating humor disarms your own fear and makes other people like you more. Nobody enjoys being around someone who takes every tiny mistake as a tragedy. Everyone enjoys being around someone who can laugh, recover, and keep moving. Your awkwardness becomes charm when you add a little laughter on top. Awkward first steps build a muscle called social courage that grows stronger with use. The first time you speak in a meeting, your voice might crack and your face might turn red. The 10th time you speak, your voice will sound almost normal to everyone else. The 100th time you speak, you will forget that speaking ever felt scary at all. This is not because you became a different person, but because you practiced. Your brain learns that awkward first steps do not lead to death or disaster. Each awkward step updates your brain's safety files and makes the next step easier. You are not fighting awkwardness. You are befriending it until it becomes normal. Your challenge for this week is to collect 3 awkward moments on purpose. Do something that guarantees a little embarrassment, like singing out loud while walking. Ask a question in a group that you are pretty sure sounds dumb but you want to know. Wear something slightly bold that makes you feel exposed but not unsafe. Each time the awkwardness hits, notice that you are still breathing and still fine. Notice that the world did not stop spinning because you looked a little silly. Write down what happened and how you survived each awkward moment. By Friday, you will have proof that awkwardness is not dangerous. That proof will be the fuel for your biggest comeback step yet. Chapter 10. When you fall again, you will. Let us be honest with each other right now, because honesty is the only way forward. You are going to fall again after you start your comeback. Not maybe, not possibly, but definitely and absolutely you will fall. You will miss a day, make a bad choice, or lose motivation when you need it most. You will feel like a fraud who fooled yourself into thinking things could change. This fall is not a sign that your comeback has failed. This fall is a sign that you are human and that you actually tried. The only people who never fall are the ones who never get up at all. So let us plan for your fall so it does not become your ending. The difference between a temporary fall and a permanent failure is one simple thing. That thing is what you tell yourself the moment after you hit the ground. The old you would say, "See, I knew it. I'm a failure and this was stupid." The new you will say, okay, I fell. That is part of the plan. What is my next move? Notice that both versions accept that the fall happened, but only one version keeps going. Your self-talk right after a fall decides whether you stay down or stand back up. You cannot control the fall itself because falls will always happen, but you can control the story you tell yourself in the first 10 seconds after falling. Those 10 seconds will decide your entire comeback. Here is a practical tool called the 15-minute rule for falling. When you fall, give yourself exactly 15 minutes to feel bad about it. Cry if you need to cry, complain if you need to complain, punch a pillow if that helps. Set a timer on your phone so you do not have to watch the clock. When those 15 minutes end, the feeling session ends too, no matter what. You do not have to feel better, but you do have to stop actively feeling worse. Then you take one tiny action, no matter how small or symbolic that action is. That action could be as simple as drinking a glass of water or making your bed. The action breaks the spiral and reminds your brain that you are still in charge. Falling again does not erase the progress you made before you fell. If you walked 10 miles down a road and then fell backwards 1 mile, you are still 9 miles ahead. Your brain will try to tell you that the fall erased everything, but that is a lie. The muscles you built, the lessons you learned, and the habits you started are still there. One bad day does not delete 10 good days unless you let it. One bad meal does not cancel a month of healthy eating unless you quit. One moment of weakness does not define your character unless you decide it does. Keep your eyes on the 9 miles you still have, not the 1 mile you lost. Many people stay down after a fall because they feel ashamed to ask for help again. They think, I already bothered my friends with my comeback, and now I failed again. This shame is a trap that keeps you alone and stuck in the dark. Your true supporters do not keep score of how many times you fall. They care about whether you keep getting up, not how many times you go down. The most inspiring people in history fell more times than most people ever tried. Abraham Lincoln lost elections, Michael Jordan missed shots, and J.K. Rowling collected rejections. Their falls did not cancel their comebacks. Their comebacks defined their lives. Call your cheerleader and tell them you fell, then let them help you up. The final truth about falling is that it actually makes your story more powerful. Nobody wants to hear from someone who succeeded perfectly on the first try. Those stories feel fake, unrelatable, and impossible to learn from. Everyone wants to hear from someone who fell hard and still got back up again. Your falls give your comeback credibility and make you someone others can believe in. The scars you collect are not ugly marks, but proof of your courage. Each fall adds a chapter to your story that will help someone else rise someday. So fall, feel, learn, laugh, and stand back up one more time. That is not a failure. That is a comeback in progress. Chapter 11, The 30-Day Not Ready Challenge. You have read 9 chapters of this book, and now it is time to stop reading and start doing. Reading about comebacks feels good, but doing the work changes your life forever. This chapter is a 30-day challenge designed to prove you can act before you feel ready. Each day has one small mission that takes less than 5 minutes to complete. The missions will feel silly, awkward, and too easy at first, and that is perfect. By day 30, you will have 30 pieces of proof that you do not need readiness. You will have retrained your brain to act first and feel ready later. This challenge will be the most valuable 30 days of your entire year. Day 1 is simply this. Write down your challenge commitment on paper and sign it. Write the sentence, I commit to 30 days of acting before I feel ready. Sign your name underneath that sentence like a legal contract with yourself. Put the paper somewhere you will see it every morning, like your bathroom mirror. Day 2 is to send one message to one person that you have been avoiding. It does not matter what the message says, only that you send it before overthinking. Day 3 is to stand up and stretch for 60 seconds right when you wake up. Day 4 is to say something kind to a stranger, even if your voice shakes. Each day builds on the last, creating a chain of small, brave actions. Day 5 through 10 focus on breaking small avoidance habits you barely notice. Call somewhere instead of using the app to order your food. Take a different route to work even if it feels slightly wrong. Raise your hand in a meeting and say one sentence even if it is not perfect. Wear an outfit that makes you feel bold instead of the usual safe clothes. Start a conversation with someone who makes you nervous for no clear reason. Post something online without editing it 11 times for perfection. Each of these actions takes less than 2 minutes, but each one changes your brain. Your comfort zone will stretch one tiny inch at a time without you feeling the pain. Day 11 through 20 turn up the heat just a little bit each morning. Ask for a small discount on something even if you expect to hear no. Share an honest opinion when someone asks instead of saying, "I don't know." Admit to a friend that you are struggling with something real instead of hiding it. Try a hobby you have always wanted to try but felt too old or too clumsy for. Speak a little louder in a group than your natural quiet voice wants to speak. Send your work to someone who might reject it and feel the fear while doing it. Each of these actions builds a muscle called rejection resilience that most people never train. By day 20, rejection will feel like data, not like a disaster. Day 21 through 29 are the peak of the challenge, and they will test you. Do something that your inner critic screams is absolutely not allowed for you. Sing in public, dance in a store, or laugh loudly without caring who looks. Ask someone for help with something you should know how to do by now. Admit a mistake openly instead of hiding it and hoping nobody notices. Try to teach someone a skill even if you are far from an expert at it. Walk away from a conversation that is draining you instead of staying to be polite. These actions feel extreme because your comfort zone is still small, but they are not dangerous. Each one proves that the worst case in your head is almost never the real case. Day 30 is the celebration day, and you will celebrate whether you feel like it or not. Go back and read every single action you took over the past 30 days. Count them and see that you have at least 30 pieces of proof in your hands. You acted without readiness 30 times, and you survived every single time. Your brain now has new evidence that waiting is optional and acting is possible. You are not the same person who started this challenge 30 days ago. You are someone who knows a deep truth that most people never learn. That truth is the title of this book, and now it lives inside your bones. The comeback starts before you are ready, and you are living proof. Chapter 12: Energy over Hours. Working more hours does not create bigger comebacks, but working with more energy does. You can sit at a desk for 12 hours and produce almost nothing useful. You can also work for 3 hours with high energy and change your entire life. The difference is not time, but the quality of attention you bring to your actions. Most people focus on finding more hours in their day, which is a losing battle. Nobody has ever found a 25th hour, but everyone can find better energy. Your comeback depends on protecting your energy like a precious, limited treasure. Hours are infinite in theory, but your energy is the real currency of progress. Your energy leaks through small holes that you probably do not notice every day. Checking your phone first thing in the morning scatters your focus before it even starts. Saying yes to boring requests drains your willpower for things that actually matter. Watching news that makes you angry burns emotional energy you could use for growth. Eating food that makes you sluggish steals physical energy from your afternoon hours. Hanging around people who complain constantly sucks the hope right out of your chest. Each of these leaks is small by itself, but together they leave your tank empty. Plugging these leaks is more powerful than adding more hours to your day. The first step to better energy is noticing what gives you energy and what takes it. Make a simple list with 2 columns titled "Gives Energy" and "Takes Energy." Write down everything you did yesterday in the correct column without judging yourself. A walk outside might give energy, while scrolling social media might take energy. A good conversation might give energy, while a difficult meeting might take energy. Napping might give energy, while watching boring videos might take energy. This list is your personal energy map that shows you exactly where your fuel goes. Your job is not to eliminate all energy takers, because some are necessary. Your job is to add more energy givers and reduce the useless takers. High-energy hours happen when you work in short, focused bursts instead of long, tired slogs. The most productive people in the world work in 90-minute blocks with breaks in between. Your brain can only focus deeply for about 90 minutes before needing rest. After that point, you are just moving papers around and calling it work. Set a timer for 90 minutes and work on one important thing with no distractions. When the timer ends, stop completely and do something restful for 15 minutes. Walk, stretch, close your eyes, or drink water without looking at any screens. Then start another 90-minute block if you have more energy to spend. This rhythm respects your brain instead of fighting against it. Your body is the machine that produces all your energy, so treat it like an expensive race car. Sleep is not wasted time but the repair shop where your energy gets rebuilt. 7 to 8 hours of sleep doubles your daytime energy compared to 5 hours. Water is not boring but the fuel that keeps every cell firing correctly all day long. Movement is not exercise but a way to shake fresh energy into your tired system. Food is not just taste but the quality of gasoline you put into your engine. You would not put dirty fuel in a race car, so stop putting it in your body. Small upgrades to sleep, water, movement, and food will shock you with the results. Your comeback does not need you to be busy, it needs you to be effective. Busy people often brag about how exhausted they are as if exhaustion is a trophy. Effective people brag about what they finished, not how long they suffered. Stop asking, "How many hours did I work today?" Start asking, "What did I finish today?" Stop admiring people who answer emails at midnight as if they are heroes. Start admiring people who finish their work, rest hard, and wake up ready again. Energy over hours means working smarter, resting without guilt, and protecting your fuel. Your comeback is a marathon, not a sprint, and marathons are won by energy management. Manage your energy like a champion, and your comeback will follow naturally. Chapter 13. Rewrite your too late story. The belief that you have missed your chance is one of the most painful feelings ever. You look at younger people succeeding and feel a deep ache in your chest. You think about where you could be if only you had started 5 years ago. You tell yourself that your age, your past, or your situation makes it too late now. This story feels true because regret is a powerful and convincing emotion. But feeling true is not the same as being true in the real world. The idea of too late is a story you are telling yourself, not a fact. And stories can be rewritten, edited, or thrown away completely whenever you choose. Look around at the real world instead of the stories in your head. Colonel Sanders started KFC when he was 62 years old after hundreds of rejections. Julia Child published her first cookbook at 50 after a lifetime of other careers. Stan Lee created his first hit comic at 39, which is old for that industry. Vera Wang designed her first dress at 40 after failing to make the Olympics. These are not rare exceptions but famous examples of a common pattern. Most successful people do not peak in their 20s, despite what social media shows. The human lifespan has expanded so much that late now means something completely different. Your timeline is yours alone, and comparison to others is a trap. The too late story often hides a fear that is not really about time at all. That fear is about embarrassment, about looking foolish, or about failing publicly. It feels safer to say, "I am too old," than to say, "I am scared to try." Age becomes an excuse that sounds more acceptable than admitting fear. Your brain offers this excuse because it wants to protect you from possible shame. But that protection comes at the cost of never knowing what you could have done. Call the excuse what it really is, which is fear wearing an age costume. Take off the costume, look at the fear underneath, and decide to act anyway. Here is a practical rewrite for your too late story called the 5-year rule. Ask yourself where you want to be 5 years from today on this exact date. 5 years will pass whether you start now or whether you stay stuck complaining. In 5 years, you can be 5 years older with nothing new to show for it. Or you can be 5 years older with 5 years of practice in something meaningful. The time will pass either way, so the only question is what you do with it. Starting today means you will have 5 years of experience by the time you reach that age. Not starting today means you will have 5 years of regret instead. The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking either way. Your past detours were not wasted time, even if they feel like they were. Every job you hated taught you what you do not want in your life. Every wrong relationship taught you something about your own needs and boundaries. Every failed attempt built a muscle that will help you succeed this time. The person who starts at 40 has wisdom that the 20-year-old starter does not have. That wisdom prevents stupid mistakes and saves years of trial and error. Your so-called late start is actually an advantage dressed in different clothing. Stop seeing your past as lost time and start seeing it as expensive education. Write your new too late story on a piece of paper and read it every morning. Start the story with the words, "It is not too late because," and finish the sentence honestly. "It is not too late because I am still breathing and still able to learn. It is not too late because people older than me have done harder things. It is not too late because the only person who can stop me is me." Keep rewriting this story until it feels more true than the old one. Your brain will fight back at first because old stories are comfortable, but keep reading your new story every single day until it sticks. The day it sticks is the day your real comeback begins at last. Chapter 14: The Mirror Test. Every morning, you have a chance to set the tone for your entire day ahead. Most people wake up, avoid their own reflection, and stumble into reactive mode. They let the first email, first notification, or first complaint decide their mood. This chapter offers a simple practice that takes 60 seconds and changes everything. It is called the mirror test, and it requires only a mirror and your honest eyes. You will stand in front of that mirror and speak 3 sentences out loud. Those 3 sentences will remind your brain who is in charge of this comeback. This practice feels silly at first, but silly things often work better than serious ones. The first sentence of the mirror test is this: "I'm exactly where I need to be right now." Notice that this sentence does not say you are where you want to be forever. It does not pretend your situation is perfect or that you have no work to do. It simply accepts your current reality without fighting against it or denying it. Fighting reality wastes energy that could be used for actual change instead. Accepting reality gives you a solid floor to stand on before you start moving. Say this sentence even if you do not believe it at first, especially then. Your voice speaking the words will slowly convince your brain over time. The second sentence of the mirror test is this: "I am capable of more than my fear tells me." Your fear lies to you every single day about what you can and cannot do. Fear says you cannot handle that presentation, but you have handled harder things. Fear says you are not smart enough, but you have solved complex problems before. Fear says people will laugh at you, but most people are too busy to care. This sentence is not toxic positivity, but a direct argument against your fear's lies. You are looking at the person who survived every bad day of your life. That person in the mirror has receipts, and those receipts prove your capability. Say this sentence while looking into your own brave eyes. The third sentence of the mirror test is this: "Today, I will take one step no matter how small." This sentence commits you to action without demanding a heroic performance from yourself. One step is always possible, even on your worst, most exhausted, most hopeless day. One step respects your current energy while still moving the ball forward. That step could be sending one text, writing one sentence, or standing outside for 1 minute. The size of the step does not matter, but the fact of stepping matters completely. This sentence transforms you from a person who hopes into a person who does. Say it with intention, like a promise you are making to your future self. Do the mirror test immediately after you wake up before you check your phone. Your phone contains other people's agendas, emergencies, and opinions that are not yours. Those outside voices will hijack your brain before you have set your own direction. Protect the first 60 seconds of your day as sacred, non-negotiable time for yourself. If you miss the morning, do the mirror test at noon, or at 5 p.m., or before bed. Doing it late is infinitely better than not doing it at all. Missing one day does not mean you failed, just do it again tomorrow. Consistency over perfection is the secret that makes the mirror test work. After 7 days of the mirror test, you will notice something shifting inside you. The sentences will feel less strange and more like a warm welcome to your day. You will start to believe the words because repetition has worn down your doubts. You will catch yourself saying the sentences in your head during hard moments. The mirror test creates a tiny anchor that holds you steady when life gets stormy. After 30 days, the mirror test will be as natural as brushing your teeth. You will not remember how you ever started your day without looking yourself in the eye. That is the power of 60 seconds spent with your own honest reflection. Take the mirror test tomorrow morning and let your comeback see its own face. Chapter 15. Your Comeback Legacy. You started this book thinking about yourself and your own struggles. That is exactly where every comeback should begin, with honest self-examination. But your comeback does not end with you, because comebacks are contagious in the best way. When you rise, someone who is watching will feel permission to rise too. When you fail and get back up, someone will see that falling is normal. When you act before you are ready, someone will realize they can do the same. Your comeback creates a ripple that touches people you will never even meet. That ripple is your legacy, and it starts forming the moment you take your first step. Think about someone who inspired you to try something hard in your own life. That person probably did not know they were inspiring you at the time. They were just doing their own messy, imperfect comeback while being watched. Their courage became a gift that landed in your lap without them trying. Now you get to be that person for someone else who is watching you right now. Your coworker, your child, your friend, or even a stranger online sees you trying. They notice that you are not perfect, but you are still showing up every day. That noticing plants a seed in their mind that change might be possible for them too. Your legacy is not about being famous or having your name on a building. It is about being the person who tried when trying was hard and embarrassing. It is about being the person who fell and laughed instead of falling and hiding. It is about being the person who sent the awkward message and survived the awkward reply. Small daily courage adds up to a life that others can point to as proof. Proof that readiness is optional. Proof that age is not a wall. Proof that falls are not final. That proof is worth more than any trophy or award you could ever earn. Your legacy is written in the small, brave moments that nobody else sees. You do not need to wait until you have fully succeeded to start your legacy. Your legacy is being built right now, in this messy middle part of your comeback. People are more inspired by struggle than by easy success, because struggle is real. Watching someone succeed easily feels like they have some magic you do not possess. Watching someone struggle and keep going feels like looking in a mirror at your own life. That reflection gives people hope that they can struggle and keep going too. So do not hide your messy parts, because those are the parts that help others most. Your vulnerability is not weakness. It is the most generous gift you can give. There is someone in your life right now who needs to see you keep going. You probably know exactly who that person is if you think about it for a moment. It might be a younger sibling who looks up to you more than they say. It might be a friend who is stuck and watching to see if getting unstuck is possible. It might be a parent who never chased their own dreams and lives with quiet regret. That person is not waiting for you to be perfect before they believe in you. They are waiting for you to keep going even when keeping going is hard. Your continued effort is the loudest and most helpful message you can send. Send that message by simply not quitting today. Your comeback legacy ends with this final truth from the entire book. You were never waiting for readiness, because readiness was always a ghost you chased. You were always waiting for permission to be messy, scared, and imperfect while trying. That permission has been yours since the moment you were born, but you forgot. This book gave you back that permission in every single chapter you just read. Now you get to pass that permission to someone else just by living your life. Show them your scars, your falls, your awkward steps, and your small daily wins. Show them that the comeback starts before you are ready, and mean it with your whole heart. That is your legacy, and it starts today, right now, with your very next breath. Conclusion. You have reached the end of this book, but your comeback is only just beginning to breathe. Everything you read here is worthless if you close this cover and return to waiting. The only chapter that matters now is the one you will write with your own actions tomorrow morning. You have the tools, the permission, and the proof that readiness is a beautiful lie. Your fear is still there, your doubts are still there, and your past mistakes are still there. But now you know that none of those things need to stop you from moving. You can move while shaking, speak while stuttering, and build while failing repeatedly. That is not weakness, that is the exact definition of courage, and you have it inside you right now. Look around this room and find one small thing you can do in the next 60 seconds. Send that text, write that word, make that call, or take that single step. Do not close this book and think about doing it later, because later is a trap. Later turns into tomorrow, tomorrow turns into next week, and next week turns into never. Your comeback starts before you are ready, and you are not ready right now. That is perfect, because readiness was never the door. Action was always the door. Walk through that door while your hands are still shaking and your heart is still pounding. Your future self is already proud of you for reading this far. But they will be amazed by what you do next. Go start your comeback, not because you are ready, but because waiting is no longer an option you are willing to choose.